It might be because I was born in October, and so my birthday was always Halloween themed. It might be because my parents loved Halloween and watching the Addams Family and the Twilight Zone throughout the year. It might have been growing up in the 2000s to 2010s and growing up with Goosebumps, The Haunting Hour, and every ghost-themed TV show imaginable. It might be growing up in rural Missouri, surrounded by very old buildings, superstitious people, and seemingly endless woods. It might be my cautious and anxious nature making me predisposed to liking horror as a means to escape my real-life fears. It might be all the above. Whatever be the case, I absolutely adore horror stories. Pretty much everything I read for non-research purposes is horror. I particularly like compilations of short horror stories, much like the first book I read for this project, The King in Yellow. The King in Yellow is a very famous book that, while not entirely horror, contains stories in the horror genre. First published in 1895 by Robert W. Chambers, The King in Yellow has seen many iterations, rewrites, edits, and so on. One version is not quite the same as the other. It's rather difficult to find one exactly like the original in the modern day, but I decided to settle on the Wordsworth Editions limited version printed in 2010. So what is The King in Yellow? It is a book of 9 short stories accompanied by a series of poems. While most people would classify this book in horror, and the first few stories definitely are, the tone of the book gradually shifts to a more lighthearted one, with the final stories being more romantic and completely bereft of horror or any supernatural elements. The King in Yellow is named after a play within the universe of the book. The first 4 stories, the most famous of the stories within the book, are about this mysterious play which, after reading it, causes the reader to go insane, its second act being filled with irresistible and dreadful truths. It was definitely new and felt a bit meta, reading about characters meeting terrible ends because they are reading something which shares the same title as the book you are reading. However, the in-universe King in Yellow is not the same as our King in Yellow. Sprinkled throughout the book, though, are excerpts from the play, and the characters in the stories reference the play from time to time. Quote, I raised my eyes to the fathomless glare, and I saw the black stars hanging in the heavens, and the wet winds from the lake of Hali chilled my face. And now, far away, over leagues of tossing cloud waves, I saw the moon dripping with spray, and beyond the towers of Carcosa rose behind the moon. Then I sank into the depths, and I heard the King in Yellow whisper to my soul, it is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. That is an excerpt from the story The Court of the Dragon. Quote, Night fell, and the hours dragged on, but still we murmured to each other of the king and the pallid mask, and midnight sounded from the misty spires in the fog-wrapped city. We spoke of Hester and of Casilda, while outside the fog rolled against the blank window panes as the cloud waves rolled and broke on the shores of Hali. That was from The Yellow Sign. While we are not given the entirety of this mysterious play, for the safety of our own sanity, of course, we are given this much. The play has at least 3 characters, Casilda, Camilla, and the stranger, and the play has at least 2 acts. Here are the excerpts we are given in the book. Casilda's song. Along the shore the cloud waves break, the twin suns sink behind the lake, the shadows lengthen in Carcosa. Strange is the night where black stars rise, and strange moons circle through the skies, but stranger still is lost Carcosa. Songs that the Hades shall sing, where flap the tatters of the king, must die unheard in dim Carcosa. Song of my soul, my voice is dead. Die thou, unsung, as tears unshed, shall dry and die in lost Carcosa. We are also given this. Act 1, Scene 2D. Camilla. You, sir, should unmask. Stranger. Indeed? Casilda. Indeed, it's time. We have all laid aside disguise but you. Stranger. I wear no mask. Camilla, terrified, aside to Casilda. No mask. No mask. I found these 4 stories very interesting, as well as the demoiselle de Wai, and the poetry. However, when the book got to the rest of the short stories, I found them boring and a struggle to get through. Maybe it's because I simply don't like romance or war stories. Overall, the book was a quick read at first for me, and quickly morphed into a drag. But of course, I am much more of a suspense thriller and cosmic and gothic horror sort of guy. I would recommend this book, especially if you are able to enjoy more genres than I.